Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a very casual one. I'm actually getting ready to head out to dinner with my husband. I thought, you know what, why don't I turn the camera on, film a little makeup look for you guys. I do have one new item to try, which is the new Juvia's Place palette. I just got this. I have used it once already. I actually filmed my kind of unboxing and try on with this. Had some technical difficulties, so that video didn't work out, but I thought we would use it again today. I already have a couple of thoughts about this that I'll share with you guys as we get into that part of the video, but hopefully a little casual get ready with me sounds interesting to you guys. Any of you that are new to my channel, special welcome to you. I hope you'll consider subscribing if you have not yet done that, but I am on a time limit. We have 40 minutes to get this done, so let's jump right in. So I'm going to kick things off with a bit of primer. I'm going to use the Flower Beauty priming oil. This is their Supernova Celestial Skin Elixir. I have a hard time saying this. It's basically just a skin oil, and I'm using it today because my skin is just exceptionally dry. It has been incredibly windy here this last week, and I have been spending a little bit of time outside in the yard getting things ready, doing some yard work, and I have felt it in my skin. It's so dry. And I do want to give that a couple of seconds to soak in. I don't normally do things in this order, but while we're waiting, because I want to maximize the time that I have, I'm actually going to do my brows. I don't usually like doing my brows before foundation because I don't like having to be too careful when I go around my brows with my foundation, but we're just going to try it out today to try and give that primer a couple minutes. So I'm just taking my Ulta Beauty brow pencil. I'm just going to lightly run this through my brows. I have no idea where we're headed for dinner. I know there's a couple of places that have opened up their dining rooms, I'm sure in a modified way, and I'm just not quite sure that I'm ready. And it's not that I'm like afraid to be out and around people. There's something about things not totally being back to normal that I don't know that like the dining experience is not as enjoyable for me, so I'd almost rather just do the takeout thing. Plus it's spring, the weather's pretty nice, so it is kind of nice to like get takeout and go find a park or go for a little drive up a close by canyon, which is what we've kind of been doing for our lunch dates that we often go on. My husband and I try to go on a lunch date pretty much every Friday, and that's kind of been our tradition almost since we moved into this house about actually more than 3 years ago. We just found that that's the best way for us to make sure that we get a little bit of us time in. Weekend nights just don't always work for us, and honestly it's not even that we're always busy on a Friday or Saturday night, but usually it's the like Saturday day that we're so busy running around that we just don't want to go out Saturday night. We want to stay in. So Friday lunch dates have been what we like to do. And I am fortunate enough that my husband works from home when he's not traveling, which is never right now, which has been kind of nice. So I'm going to leave those filled in. I'll set them down when I'm all done, but now I'm going to jump into my foundation. And today I'm going to use the Misha BB cream. I just got a new shade of this in. I got the shade 23. It is still a little bit too light for me, so I am going to mix a little bit of 27 into that. I think for the winter time, 23 would be a really good shade match for me, but right now I have been self-tanning lately, is this the third video in a row that I've mentioned that? I feel like that's a little bit annoying. Nobody really cares if you've been self-tanning many. This is another foundation that I find that I really like using my fingers with. The only thing I don't like about using my fingers with, really with any foundation, is just how messy it is. But I always keep a clean rag on hand that I can wipe my hands off when I'm done. But I just love using my fingers with BB creams and CC creams. I feel like they give a really good natural finish, but really good coverage. And it is very fast, which is probably the biggest bonus. Okay, so I'm going to actually start with a little bit of eye primer before I go into my concealer. I'm going to take a little bit of the Wet n Wild eye primer and apply this to my eyelids. I've had a couple of different questions from you guys asking me about eye primer and do I use it and how often do I use it and why, and do I use concealer sometimes, because I do different things in different videos. And here's kind of my thought process behind eye primer in general. Before we get into that conversation, I'm just gonna go in with the Revlon Candid Concealer here. So the answer is, if I really want my shadow to look and behave its best, I will use a traditional eyeshadow primer like the Wet n Wild Urban Decay Shadow Insurance. There's a lot of really good ones out there. Occasionally I'll use just the primer and go right in with my eyeshadows on top of that, but most of the time if I'm using a primer, I will also take a little bit of my concealer and kind of put that on top just to cancel out some of the discoloration that I have on my eyelids, which I'm finding to be more and more of a problem as I'm getting older. But if I'm in a really big hurry, I will just take a concealer and use that as my eye primer, and that works pretty well for me as long as I set it with a bit of translucent powder right away before it creases, because it will crease on me a little bit. Now for longevity, if I wanted my eyeshadows to last for hours and hours, say an entire 10-hour day, that would probably not work. I would need the traditional eye primer as well. But for most of my days and my lifestyle and kind of what I have going on, especially lately, concealer seems to work just fine for me. So I guess the answer is kind of all three. It just kind of depends on the situation. But if I'm really wanting like maximum performance for my eyeshadows, I definitely will use a traditional primer and sometimes a concealer on top of it, like I'm doing right now. And I know there are some primers that have a little bit of concealing properties to them. I haven't found one yet that I love. I have not actually tried out the MAC Paint Pots. The one from e.l.f. I didn't really like. It was way too dry and thick, and it didn't hold my shadows in place very well. I found that they still seem to crease and fade a little bit throughout the day. Alright, so really quickly we're going to set that in place with just a little bit of the Rimmel Stay Matte powder, and I really just like to set this inner corner right here because that's where I get pretty much instant creasing with concealer. Now I want to finish off with the rest of my face before we go into the eyes. So I'm going to take this little bronzer stick right here. I talked about this one recently. This is from iMeme. I got this on YesStyle. And I talked about this one in my recent YesStyle video and how it seemed to be a dupe to the Milk Makeup one. I've now tried this quite a few times, and here are my thoughts. I think this is a really good dupe for the Milk one. I held off using it for a couple of days or about a week because I was worried that it was breaking me out. I'm starting to use it again to try and see if that's going to still be an issue for me, because it was kind of that time of the month and I tend to break out around this area a lot anyways when I do break out. But as far as its performance and color I think is absolutely a dupe. The best dupe I found for the Milk Makeup one. I don't think it lasts quite as long as the Milk one. I think it fades just a little bit more. I have tried them out side by side a few times, and I just think this one fades the tiniest bit more than the Milk one, but it's a pretty subtle difference. I would say for the most part they're like a 95% match. But I also mentioned in that video that this is still about $10, and the Milk Makeup bronzer stick is I think $22, $24, and the amount of product that you're getting in that one, there's a huge difference. This has 7 grams, this one has 28 grams. That is so much product. If you're someone that goes through bronzer quickly, I'd say go for this one. You're still getting a better value even though you're spending a little bit more initially. So I would love to know how many of you guys are still under complete lockdown. Are you guys starting to break out a little bit and open up a little bit? Are things starting to open up around you? How is the weather where you're living? I think that's definitely been helping. Even though we haven't still been going a lot of places, being able to be outdoors, even in our own yard, makes a big difference for sure. So this last week, I have to apologize to you guys for my lack of uploads. I think I only had one upload go up this last week because it was a crazy week. It was the last week of school. It was basically checkout week for my kids, and doing that this year was a lot different than what it's looked like before. I mean, my kids are older, so normally the last week of school really doesn't impact me at all. Everything's done at school. But this year the pickups had to be staggered. We had to plan things out a little bit. Getting teacher gifts and stuff like that was tricky. So it was a very busy week for me. In addition to that, I was busy with my oldest son, as I've mentioned, does high school baseball, and I put together a high school, kind of like a highlight video. I mean, it was tricky because there really were not a lot of highlights. They only had about, I think, 5 or 6 games before things got shut down. It took me a lot of hours to work on that this week, but it was such a fun video to edit. Like, I knew I loved taking pictures of my kids and their sporting events, especially sports. I love taking sports pictures. One of my dream jobs would be a sports photographer. But doing this video, even working with the minimum footage that I was able to get a hold of, it was really fun to edit people sliding into home plate in slow motion. Like, there was something about that to me that was so satisfying, because I don't get to do a lot of stuff like that in makeup videos. Maybe I should. And I'm sorry, I didn't even mention what I was doing. This is the Morphe 16 brush, and I'm using this light purple right here from the Juvia's Place palette. Quick little note on this palette. So normally I kind of pride myself in my thoughtfulness in the makeup purchases that I make, but sometimes I'm human and I do stupid things and buy things that I really shouldn't be buying or don't really need, or maybe don't even totally want. I feel like that's kind of what happened with this. I mean, it's a Juvia's Place palette. I will like it. I am quite positive, but there's so much about this palette that's just not really me that I think it was probably a mistake for me to get this palette. I have plenty of eyeshadow palettes. I've actually have a couple that I've bought recently. It just is something that, like, once I got it, even before I opened it, I was kind of like, why did I do this? Why did I jump on this palette so quickly? I don't need it. I am very content with the palettes that I have. So the real reason I think I fell for this thing, and this is something that is a unique danger to me or to any creators out there. It was a case of not necessarily YouTube made me buy it, but my YouTube channel made me buy it. And I basically just mean this. I kind of used my channel as an excuse to buy this, like, oh, maybe people will be really interested in seeing that palette. When really I knew in the back of my mind I was using that as an excuse. I don't know if that makes sense to any of you guys out there that make videos, but that's exactly what happened with this. And then I realized, you know, this is a pretty colorful palette. I'm not opposed to a colorful palette, but there's a lot of colors in here that I know that I probably won't use. There's also some glitter in here that I know I won't use. I love and will always love Juvia's Place, but I'm not sure that this was like the palette I really needed. Let me know what you guys think. Did any of you pick this up? Are you interested in this color story? It is quite bold, and I'll go ahead and swatch them again for you guys right now. They feel not as dry as the ColourPop ones. They actually feel almost oily like, similar to the Tati ones, but these ones feel more like a true oil base. So I'd be interested to use these on my eyes simply to compare them to the Tati ones. Because I'm not truly a glitter person, I don't really know exactly what to compare these to or how they'll perform. They feel to me though like they are going to need a glitter glue. Do you see how that kind of skipped right there? I feel like these are ones that are going to need a glitter glue, and you would need to really gently pat these on. They're absolutely beautiful, but again, I just don't know that I'll use these very much. I don't know that this was a smart purchasing decision on my part. Oh well, what's done is done. I'm going to try and create a beautiful eye look out of it today, and I will say I did this eye look the other day and it was absolutely stunning, but I certainly think I could create this with other palettes that I have. Now I'm just going to go into this corner kind of darker pinky purple shade with the rougher number 1 brush, and I'm just going to build this up in this outer corner right here. This actually reminds me a lot of the look that I did recently from the Natasha Denona and C Color palettes. I apologize if this ends up looking exactly the same. Now let's go in with my Morphe M507 brush. I actually really want to use my Rephr number 13 brush. I've just been using these Rephr brushes so much lately. I want you guys to know that you still can use the Morphe brushes that I've been talking about forever. They are great brushes as well. I am really loving these Rephr brushes. Brushes are tricky. I think, you know, a lot of people have different thoughts on brushes, and I kind of agree with both camps. The people that are in the camp of save your money, invest in good brushes, they will last you a lot longer. I think that's very true for the most part. However, I also think if you are someone that is on a budget, you certainly can get really good looks with affordable brushes. And I have a lot of affordable brushes that I have been using for years and years. And even though I'm really enjoying these Rephr brushes that I was given, and I'll continue to use them because I love them, and I do think they're better than my Morphe brushes, they're not significantly better. And so that's kind of, it really comes down to just deciding where your budget is, where your priorities are, and realizing that you can use affordable brushes and get great looks out of them, but it's just, you know, it's that, again, that kind of balancing act, which is more important to you. Saving your money up front and maybe having to repurchase your brushes every couple of years as they kind of wear out, or saving up and investing in a brush that will probably last a long time. And I'm saying probably. I haven't had these long enough to say for sure that they're going to last 10 years. I hope they will. Now I'm just going to pop a bit of this shade on my inner corner. This is a beautiful shade, by the way. It's kind of like a taupey shell pink. Alright, now let's add a little bit of brown liner. I'm going to take my Wet n Wild liner, and then I'm going to go in with a little bit of the NARS mascara, and I will be right back with you guys. So here are the finished eyes. I do want to set my eyebrows in place while we're kind of thinking about it. So I'm just taking a little bit of the e.l.f. Clear Brow Gel. So I've tried out a couple of other brow gels lately. I've liked them, but I'm realizing that for the price, this stuff is pretty dang good as well. Alright, so there are the finished eyes. I realized I forgot to put blush on today. My blush was hiding behind my foundation. Today I want to go back in with the Juicy Pang blusher that I got from YesStyle. I really, really like this liquid blush. I have found that it applies best with your fingers, which really surprises me because I don't usually love applying blush with my fingers, but I basically just take 2 little swipes in between 2 fingers and then rub them together, and then just kind of on each side just tap it on. When I use this with a sponge, I just feel like the sponge absorbs too much of the color. But for some reason when I use my finger with these, because it is so liquidy and you don't have to really do much to get it to blend, it doesn't seem to move my concealer or my bronzer or my foundation underneath very much at all. But it gives you the most natural looking blush. Is that not so pretty? I think it is so pretty. I'm just going to take the edge of that sponge that we used with the concealer on it, and I'm just going to tap that around the edges just so everything looks nice and blended. Now I'm going to go in with highlighter. I'm taking Becca's Opal today. Love this little highlighter, but I've tried a lot of other, especially drugstore highlighters since I got this was it a year ago or so? It is a great highlighter, but I have some really good drugstore options that I think I like just as much. All right, so there is highlighter. Let's go into lips. And for lips today, I really want to use my Wet n Wild lipstick. This one is in the color Mad for Mauve. I've been corrected many times that I say mauve wrong. The consensus seems to be that it is mauve, but it's one of those things I've been saying mauve my whole life. I'm almost 40. That's a lot of years of saying something wrong to make that big of a change. Feels very drastic to me. By the way, this is just my Milani lip liner in all natural. So let me know, are you guys on Team Mauve or Team Mauve? I kind of want to stay with Team Mauve. I like the underdog. What can I say? All right, look at that lipstick. Is that not so pretty? I don't even feel like this lipstick needs a gloss. Every time I wear it, I actually have a gloss pulled out planning to use, and I realized I don't think I need it. All right, we're gonna set everything down with a little bit of the ColourPop Pretty Fresh setting spray, and then I will be right back with you guys with some final thoughts. All right guys, so this is the completed makeup look for my date night, which we are ready to leave in 3 minutes. Wow, what perfect timing. I don't know that I've ever actually filmed a video in 40 minutes. That was really fast for me. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on any of these makeup products, if you've tried them out, if you like them, if you don't. Of course, leave that information in the comments down below. Also, let me know what you guys think about the Juvia's Place palette. I am planning to insert some swatches in the video just so you guys can see how this looks swatched. It is a pretty palette. It is very dramatic. The name is Wahala, which means drama, and I would agree with that. This is very much a bold color palette, which is not really my vibe, but if you're into glitter and you're into bold, interesting colors, you probably would like this one a lot. I'm not sure I'll probably get a whole lot of use out of it other than this corner right here. I don't know. I feel like I wasted $35, but happens sometimes to the best of us, right? But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you guys are doing well. One more reminder to those of you that haven't subscribed yet, I would love if you would do that before you leave. And I hope that you guys have a great day, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.